with a wink and a smile.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of money, speaking of budgets, speaking of mountaintops, I suppose, hey, I guess I've hit what they're calling peak Dion, right? Is that correct?
How did you feel uh beating Final Fantasy XIV's final coil of Bahamut?
All right. So, if you're trying to dodge FF16 spoilers, tap out now because I'm going to talk about the last third of the game. I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm getting towards the end, I suppose. Over the 60% mark at the very least. Yeah. So, anyway, it's so far. I definitely had a moment where I was in space and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
going, why? Like, I paused it and I went, how much game is left? Because how do we come down from this? Right? Um. Okay, no, we'll throw that back on. It's okay. I didn't.
Oh no, I'll disable it, but
I
I'll also watch it
sorry.
because I know when
I
I know when to turn it back on.
Okay, that's okay. I threw it off because the stuff I care about has effectively ended.
You know what, Wooly?
Therefore, it's kind of like, all right, right? And it's interesting. So you get to one Dion, you get to the family, you get to fucking shit Prince Olivier, and ooh, that bitch of a mother, right?
Dude,
That
what?
fucking lady, and you get
Uh,
all of that in this insane bombastic sequence,
I
and it hits all the things that I wanted it to hit because, like, okay, we go to space and we kill Daigatai. That happens. Whatever. That shit's fucking rad. We don't even. It's done. That's okay. When you're watching, like, fucking. So Dion's there, and you're watching Clive lay in on Annabelle and give every single fucking thing she needs to hear, and she just hears it, puts the mental like helmet on, and just shuts it the fuck out, and just goes, "Ah, my baby!" And I'm like, I've been in the room where I've watched grown ass adults do that in real life,
oh yeah.
and it made my like something inside of me just ripped open.
So I need to stop you for a second. So first of all, I want to say that sequence is the first time since coming to live in BC that I was like worried my neighbors were going to hear me because I was screaming my ass off. And one of the reasons why that was is that every now and then you become perfectly in sync with the narrative theme.
Yeah.
Like you encapsulate the character and you're right there. And when she's wailing about her baby and I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, bitch, look out the window. To which point Clive follows with, have you not looked out the window? That is the peakest moment in that game.
It's everything. It's all the righteous fury you have up until that point coming to a fruition. And the fact that she represents not just the human evil and the world of the racism and all that crazy shit going down, and the fact, like, even the little details like the flower that's being snoofed is fucking it's the poison that's made to tattoo the faces of the branded. It's the same fucking source flower. It's like that's like literally fucking that's like King Washington or not even King whatever. That's like slave owner royalty like sniffing cotton. You know what I mean? And tossing it to the ground. It's wild, right? Anyway, the fact that you just watch that super real human, like, I do not acknowledge my fault. I do not acknowledge my blame. I pretend I do not see it. I will continue to be a problem. I don't even, like, I just shut out whatever you just said, and when it all comes tumbling down, you know what? No responsibility. I'm out of here, right? I don't give a fuck.
Admit, I'm madly in love with the biggest hater in that game. Like, no question. Like, I would rather kill myself than have to deal with the fallout from this conversation.
Unbelievable. I literally just don't want to talk to you, dude. Like, yeah, it's crazy. And like, not only that, and then anything that you're kind of wondering about where you're just like what could possibly, like, why would you? And she's like, bloodlines, asshole. All I care about is bloodlines. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I care about my fucking blood. That's it. I'm here for this. And when that's over there, I'm here for that. What else do you need to understand? I'm really simple. And you're like, damn, thank you for that. Now die.
No depth.
Now fucking sit. Now just bleed out for, like, just die. Go, like, it's amazing. It's such a fucking, like, all right. And then the game's like, awesome. Now that you've dealt with all the real human problems, here's God. Go kill him. And I'm like, oh, okay, right. Yeah, sure, fine. Yeah. Okay, no problem. Right. Why does he want to wipe us out? Because time immemorial, humanity sucks. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Who cares? You know, because it's just like, you can't, like, it's so much simpler to stab God in the face than the concept of racism and nepotism and evil fucking human deeds.
Bad parents.
You can't, you know? How do you can't always stab that, man. But here you go. Here's, if God's floating. Go, there you go. Go get him.
Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. Let's just ride it out. Yeah. But effectively, everything that I cared about is done and done there.
So I remember when people were reviewing the game, and the consensus came out is that when the story shifts focus, it kind of loses some of its momentum because it gets all Final Fantasy and God shit. I'm like, oh, well, of course it does. And then I got there and I'm like, oh, but I was so invested in this stupid family and their awful bullshit that fighting God is actually fairly simple by comparison.
Right. And I did, someone wrote a comment in saying that it sucks to think that, like, all of that Game of Thrones-y political bullshit, the machinations behind the scenes were all just, like, all the same guy manipulating everybody, so none of it mattered. And I disagree with that, because I think the same level of, like, background fuckery that Ultima had in Clive's life is about the amount he affected the others, right? Everyone was still out for their own shit and is moving pieces according to the way they wanted to, but he was in the background being a little voice, pushing you, doing things, but they did what they wanted to do for their evil, shitty, stupid bullshit reasons. And those things are on them to hold.
Like, Hugo wouldn't have been able to get cucked to death unless he was a participant.
Yes. In this game. But he willingly engaged and then doubled down a second time, after he did get fucking, the guy, he got the box, and what's in the box? Well, sure, that's going to play out the way it does. But even, even Barney, who, again, we're still trying to figure out his deal, and in that one little moment of, like, oh, hey, what do you, okay, it's whatever you want to see. Ultima can just, like, hey, I'm showing you what you want, and then who's this? God damn it, it's his mom, isn't it? Fuck, god damn it, shit, it's his mom. And you're like, all right, I think I get enough of your deal, but ultimately you're just, like, you're in service, whereas the others were manipulated unknowingly and unwillingly. And I'm like, yeah, from here on out, we're fine. Wherever this goes, however cool the air combos are going to be, the sequence, I'm sure it'll be bombastic and fresh, but if they weren't aware, then they certainly didn't let it on that you're hitting the game's potential credit point, because you're fighting in space and you're punching each other in supernova fashion, and you're having, again, literal Gurren Lagann references going down before re-entry, and 30 minutes ago, we were running around a market looking for a passport to get to the other side of a dirt hill.
Yeah, it is. It's starting to get like really like the downtime and the uptime are getting like further apart. The only thing I want to add to that is that sequence with Bahamut is like I made the goof, but you probably didn't recognize the name. That part is like, you know, the whole game I've said like, oh wow, that's kind of like FF14. Oh,
Sure.
it's like this. That part is like a encounter just lifted and copy pasted into the new system, all the way to what was once jokingly referred to as quote fucking golden Bahamut end quote.
Okay. Yeah. I imagine that like if all the stuff that you and others have been talking about with FF14 that's been really good over the course of these years. Like I've seen screenshots of FMVs and moments of characters that look like almost characters out of 16 walking around and saying things and racism implications and so on. And so I'm like, I'm sure a lot of that was echoed in this like microcosm version of it. Which it was saying thoroughly enjoyable, but just the real Zettaflare was the verbal one, on the ground afterwards. Fuck you, mom. Like that was so rich. It was there's so many nutrients in that moment, you know, that from here on out I'm just like, it's the victory lap. If they start rolling the credits over the rest of the game right now while we did this Ultima session, I have no problem with it.
Did you get to fuck around with Bahamut's icon at all?
I did. I went to the Arret Stone afterwards and started to just mess with it. Wow, weird.
It's super busted.
Defensive position, just float, dodge to buff your shit, and then you make the entire room take damage for the next 30 seconds. Yeah. It definitely it turns the room into a training room as you can build back up whatever other abilities you want. And then and again the fact that it's like rewarding you for the dodge as well, and you know, I'm like, this is way more fun too than Rama, right? Rama feels like the loser on the set so far.
So I felt that way up until what's it called? Is it called Lightning Ball?
Lightning Ball. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the thing that you place,
the orb that you hit, yeah.
That is the best move in the whole game, because all the other Lightning Rod, because all the other icon abilities interact with it.
So you throw it out, and then everything else is going to amplify.
You put it down, and then you do like all of Bahamut's shit onto the lightning rod.
Okay. And
so now it's being like multiplicative.
Well, at least you can max it out, pull it off of Rama, and put it wherever you want. Yeah. But in terms of like the slow down and paint the targets bit, I'm like, I don't want that. I want to parry. I want to grab. I want to snatch. I want to dash. I want to go into a defensive fucking, room clear. Like it just feels like that one is just way underpowered.
Bahamut is like, I got to it and I started to use it, and it's like, it's probably too good for anyone who can dodge reliably. Because you get to just start every fight with that big AOE.
Mm-hmm. It also shows me as well that like, so I like that I can fight while waiting for my cooldowns to be off to come back, and like the times where you can put the controller down while you wait for the controller while you wait for the cooldown to come off. I'm like, this is less fun. So like, I think I'm probably not going to do all 6 slots, all 6 giant supers. I think I'm going to like do 1 or 2. But I like the ability to like like switch off to the next thing and then keep fighting, do an air combo, yada yada, fill for time, and then do the next big one. It's also going to be a different rhythm to it as well, since taking off Garuda means no more half stagger pull. So Yeah, I'm just glad that like I'm like okay, now I think I'm probably gonna roll with Bahamut and Ifrit until proven otherwise, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but again, I just labbed it for like a little bit, you know, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Did you fight the S rank notorious monster that unlocks after you do the Bahamut stuff?
I don't think so. No, I just
Okay,
got back to the base and that was it.
so that thing, when you go and encounter it, is the hardest fight in the whole game.
Okay, super boss.
Like hands down.
Okay, yeah,
It's,
you mentioned before.
It's the only thing that took me like I think more than 2 tries.
Okay. Yeah, but just as far as the story goes, you know, it's really interesting to see that play out the way it does, and
It plays out like perfect.
And I suppose, and I'm curious to hear. I mean, let me get to the end first, but I'm curious to hear what people who are like classic FF fans that don't like the change so much, if they like that things swerve towards the traditional, as Gene was saying, or if it kind of is like is there like for me it's like, and for what I don't know, it might be cool if you make me care in the next couple hours, but for most people it's kind of like up and then down, you know. Is there anyone where they're kind of like, oh god, finally I care because I didn't like that,
So
like political
for
boardroom shit.
for me, who I've got hands on literally every single one to some degree, and also with all of 14, which is its direct inspiration. There's 2 things about that. One, no, I kind of wish it had kept going off of that tangent instead of the more traditional thing. And 2 is that it's kind of weird how serious the game is. Like, you've seen about 85% of the game so far. It's kind of strange how little there is of goofball, stupid shit that Clive and the gang get up to.
I know what you mean because it contrasts so largely with FF7R and how non-stop. Okay. And yeah, my reference point is FF7R. So
FF7R 14, 10, 12. Like, remember in 12 when you're like, we got to get out of here. We're all wanted men. And then you look up and there's a bunch of cactar dancing and shaking their asses at you.
Yeah. There is levity in the side quests, but there's not a ton of it, you know? And I think as well, like in some of the characters, like when fucking Midolphus shows up, literally
might be the worst translated name for a character I've ever seen in my life. You named her Mid?
Her name is Mid. Just the timing. Shit. The timing couldn't be better. Yeah, Midol. Get me some headache medication. When she shows up and most of her quests are just like, God damn it, Winry, what do you want?
Yeah, for real.
You know, so they've kind of like isolated it into these little like, every time you interact with Goots, it's gonna be a little like, it's Goots. Every time you talk to Karen, it's probably gonna be like, get off my ass, you old bag. You're great, you know. But for the most part, anything like that's gonna be a red move the shit forward thing is gonna be like dead ass serious and you know. And Clive is that energy of a protagonist as well, right? He's big blue Oni, right? So, I don't know that 14. Well, I guess my question is that 14 is so fucking long and big that like doesn't 14 kind of encapsulate all FF?
Well, the way that you would break it down is each expansion is its own game because they're all self-contained to some degree. They're all just sequels to one another. But like there's still just tons of stupid zany shit at all times. I mean, the Relic quest they got going on has the Hildebrand series where the rigging is constantly breaking and it's just complete slapstick. It's just strange that like there's nothing in 16 that gives Clive the chance to like laugh even once.
I mean, It happens. It's just far and few in between. It's just extremely, everything with him and his uncle is kind of goofy, because like when
Oh, that goofy. I think that's like really sweet and like heartfelt.
yeah. But like it's a chance for Clive to like take a breather while his uncle is waltzing around, fucking becoming king of the underworld and tossing money around.
Sure, but when is Clive gonna walk up to a chocobo lady who's from the future and is selling shit out of her shop to her rock music rendition of "Can You Ride This Chocobo"?
It's just
When's it gonna happen?
It's not gonna. It ain't, because he's all like that. Josh shit fucked him up, man. Dude's traumatized, and he didn't get amnesia over it. Well, not completely, I suppose, but
A little bit, just a little bit,
just
just enough,
just enough,
just a little bit of
just
amnesia.
enough. A little, protagonist amnesia.